Hey there, welcome to the coffee solo episode for this September 20th, 2025. The time is 11:03 p.m. Pacific time here in Vegas. So technically it is September 20th. And so this episode is 2025-09-2001. Probably not going to be a 02, not today. It's been several days since my last episode. I did record an episode every day for my other various programs. I will tell you very shortly where to find them if you don't know by now. If this is your first time listening, Coffee Solo is just me. There's no set schedule, and we talk about whatever we want. One of these days, I'm going to get Hugo Floss up and running, so it will be similarly unconstrained, but hopefully it will be more of a streaming, interactive endeavor. Hugo Floss is a thing we came up with. I think it was either during the pandemic or towards the end, like the lockdown part of it. So yeah, well, it's on my list. My to-do list never gets shorter. It just gets shuffled around. Today's episode, I jotted down 3 items, and I have a title. I did not create any cover art yet, so we'll see what I come up with. Today's title, though, Resting McRest Face. I cracked myself up. The notion is, I'll just read the summary that I wrote. If only I had the Family Truckster and tickets to Walley World in my pocket, I could be on my way to a great vacation, capital V. For now, rest must be had when it can be, and less if possible. I can't remember. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I think it was in a Buy Me an Update episode 2 weeks ago. I said, I really got to get into, it was probably at the beginning of September, so whenever that was, but I think it was 2 weeks ago, towards the beginning. I said, I got to get back into the Silicon Valley mindset, like less sleeping, less distraction, more focus. And I've kind of done that, although I'm not, an oldie but a goodie. I'm ramping up. So I wish I had more things done. The links, depending on where you're finding this episode, hopefully more people will start finding it in more of the places. There's a profile page linking everything. Coincidentally, buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo. I say coincidentally because it also used to be called Buy Dan a Coffee, and they happen to be the same page. Buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo. There's a freeform profile page there. I keep it updated with the links to the various things. So do note that there is a homepage for all of my audio productions, including Innovate for Vegas, of course. But Coffee Solo, this program you're listening to now, doesn't have its own homepage. And, it was allegedly to be published exclusively on Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/DanHugo/posts. But neither Ko-fi.com nor BuyMeACoffee.com support or intend ever to support RSS feeds for audio posts. So I thought maybe I should also post it elsewhere. So there is a Coffee Solo Spotify for Creators profile linked, and a Buy Me an Update Spotify for Creators profile linked. So Spotify for Creators, Spotify bought Anchor.fm many years ago. So where Anchor was useful as a content creation and sort of hosting and republishing platform, because they would publish an RSS feed that you could share to other platforms and whatnot. Spotify still does that, but it is the Spotify way. So there are several things that they just will probably never fix. And it is what it is. Anyway, so this program, Coffee Solo, can be found. And I was saying will, but it can be, now that it is, can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and so on, and on YouTube. So YouTube and the homepage, danhugo.com. On YouTube, it is youtube.com/@DanHugo. Why is there not a Coffee Solo? Well, because these were initially, like, if it wasn't for Ko-fi.com, there would be no Coffee Solo spelled that way, Kofi Solo. So I kind of have, my plan is to just kind of keep publishing it on Ko-fi.com first, and then republishing it afterwards. So it kind of maintains that same connection. it's for no real good reason otherwise, other than why is it called Coffee Solo? Well, that's the story. Same with Buy Me an Update, right? If it's not published on Buy Me a Coffee, there's no reason to call it Buy Me an Update. But I'm not buying domains for these because who knows if they'll stay forever. I can always rename them, but they are kind of personal productions. I don't intend to have guests. Certainly Buy Me an Update as a 5-minute program. It's not intended to be a conversation. It's literally an update. So they're under the danhugo.com website banner. I had been meaning to get danhugo.com back up and running, but to give you some idea of how far behind I am on my to-dos, all of the website properties that you can find with all the content all of the programming I produce with their websites, only Innovate for Vegas has anything worth looking at. There are links, the mechanics are there. And I keep saying this, like, yeah, they work, but they're just ugly. And surely I've heard that before. But anyway, so I got to get those going. But danhugo.com, that's DANHUGO. And I've been saying this for a while, and I'm sure I'll talk about this at some point in some production. The Posse, Posse Notion, which can be found on IndieWeb. And I don't have a link for it at the moment, but because I didn't plan to say this, but that's how this show is supposed to work. IndieWeb, INDIE web, all one word. It's either .org or .com or something. IndieWeb, and then it's POSSE, which stands for Publish on Your Own Server, POS, Syndicate Elsewhere, although I usually say everywhere. So you should kind of own your presence. And maybe we'll touch on that. Maybe I'll add it to the note here. And I might as well check on the link since I'm. Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to get more personal presence, and I'm really, I mean, if you look at the TikTok news, since it hasn't really settled, but it looks like the idiots at A16Z. I'm not fond of that tower of whatever anymore. I mean, hey, they seemed like good actors a couple of decades ago, whenever they launched that thing. I did work at Netscape. I never interacted with Mark Andreessen personally, but he's turned out to be kind of a giant egg-headed monster. So I'm not a fan at all. And then, what's his name? Ben Horowitz. It's indieweb.org, by the way. Maybe I'll stick this in the links. Why not? So he's okay. So Ben Horowitz donated, I think it was, I don't know if it was 10 or 11 or 12 or something, Cybertrucks to Las Vegas Metro Police Department. And because he lives there, he and his wife live here, and his foundation, the Horowitz Foundation, I think it is, donated Cybertrucks because I guess nobody else wants those things. So they donated the Cybertrucks to the police department here. And I have yet to see one roaming around, but I guess they will. So yeah, I'm adding the Posse link to the links section, even though I didn't describe it earlier. So A16Z, Andreessen Horowitz, will be one of the likely investors, and then Oracle, or perhaps Larry Ellison individually, or both, not sure. So the two of them will be some sort of, and probably the White House, or probably the US government, or probably the Trump organization, who knows, will take some sort of stewardship or controlling interest or something. And then the question is whether the algorithm will be part of the purchase or the acquisition or the stewardship or something, or so where everything ends up. But there's been more talk of this lately. The fact that the way people communicate is all owned by billionaires. Facebook, Twitter, not Blue Sky yet. Although if you look at the funding sources of Blue Sky, it's all cryptocurrency investment. So they probably have a reasonably sincere management team. But I'm sort of, I think Blue Sky is going to be I mean, hey, the Twitter name might be available at some point, so maybe they could buy that. I'm not fond of Blue Sky. I think it's kind of a steaming pile. So I will be leaning wholeheartedly into the Fediverse and decentralization. And in fact, I didn't write any of this down, by the way, so we're off book already. I literally think we should have a return. And by the way, they didn't go away, but we should have a return of news servers. Usenet News, for example, which started in 1983, still going. If you ever used Deja News, that was a web interface for Usenet, and then Google bought them and made it into Google Groups. So they kind of snuffed out the notion, but the infrastructure is still there and very much alive and very much in use. So if you are not familiar with NNTP, the Network News Transfer Protocol, the idea it's not the same, but it's not unlike email, right? Email is store and forward. So if I send you an email, it might have to hop between 2 or 3 places, and then I send it through my mail gateway, and it probably goes through some other gateway, and then another gateway, and then to your mail MTA, mail transfer agent. So SendMail or Postfix or whatever, right? Qmail. So there's a server on my end that sends it. There are gateways and store and forward hosts that relays that relay the message. So they store it, and then they forward it along to the next relay or to the destination and whatnot. So you can measure the mail hops and all that. So what NNTP does, instead of SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, NNTP basically, and if you are a network guru and you listen to this at some point and you're like, that's not right, I'm just kind of off the cuff simplifying it here. NNTP, I could post to a news group that I have, a server that I have an account on or I have permission to post to. So I say, I'm going to go to alt programming Python or whatever, right? And I'm going to post something like, hey, I just tried Python 3.14 with the GIL turned off, and so I have my comment, and that could be a whole conversation thread. So I would submit it to the server that I can post to, and then my server where I post it to, whoever it is, would copy that to peer servers. So if you're peering with other news servers, it is sort of like store and forward, except you don't forward it, you copy it. So I've posted to my server, and then it will be peer copied to other NNTP servers that are peering with the server I posted to, and then their peers can copy. So eventually my message will be available on a variety of servers. And if somebody replies to it, that reply will eventually get to me, and it will be on a various. So everybody can have access to this conversation thread. And guess what? It's already decentralized. So if my news server goes down, it's still floating around on other news servers. And then my news server can come back up, and it can catch up with its peers and all that. So news, and depending on how long your news archive is stored, some servers store it forever, which I would imagine is impractical. Some will store, I just was looking at one today, like, you can get an account on a Usenet service and post and read news. And so really their selling points are how many groups and how many peers and how many days they archive news. So this one was 6,000 some days. I'm like, that's a lot of days. That's like 6,000 days? That's how many years I've been an engineer, right? 6,000 days in the years. I don't want to do the math in my head. 16 years, half of my career. So that's pretty good. All the stuff in college would be already gone. So that's nice. When I was in college, there were people that would spend their entire life reading news. Today it'd be like surfing the web or doom scrolling or hanging out on your For You page or obviously watching porn. But the Usenet with their alt groups especially, you can find all kinds of stuff. And so there'd be people that would read news, RN, or there was TRN, the threaded news reader. So you can log into our HMC Vax, or you can log into J. Arthur, and you just read news all day. Like, hey, you didn't go to class this week, the whole week. Yeah, I've been reading news. And probably responding. So anyway, that's something that could be done. But Posse, publish on your own servers. That's basically driving my some of my to-do list at this point. But anyway, so on to my outline. Amazon Vine. I did not know. Well, I did know, but I didn't know exactly the hour. But what do they call it? My evaluation period. So when you're a Vine, I've mentioned before, I'm an Amazon Vine reviewer. And if you did not hear that, I'm an Amazon Vine reviewer. So Vine review people, you get to pick from some selection of things, thousands of things. Most of them are worthless to most people. I mean, to someone, they're going to be super valuable. I'm going to pull up the Vine. I can't remember what they call it. The Vine potluck, I think is what they call. Is that what they call it? No, Encore? That's weird. Available for all. Last chance? No. What is the potluck? I think they've renamed the queues. Anyway, so there's one called additional items. There's recommended for me, there's available for all, additional items, and then you can search for whatever you want specifically. So there's queues, and then there's the search box, and there's categories, so you can drill down, sort of, if you're familiar with faceted search, kind of like that. So I'm going to just the first item of 29,050 results is a rubber brake hose. So the product page, it's the normal product page. Front brake line hose, OE 1164 368, and then some other numbers. Compatible with Buick Riviera 1963 and 1965. It's $18.99. Now, I can get one of those for free if I really want to, and then I just have to write a review for it. Clearly, if I had a Buick, that would be a possible thing. I don't, so I won't. Anyway, so my evaluation period, you basically have an account for some number of months, and then my evaluation period ended on September 20th. They didn't tell me what time. So and you're supposed to maintain like 60% or better of your total items received and reviews written. So 60% of my total items received should have reviews that I've submitted and have been approved, or I would risk no longer participating in the program. So I got at 1:00 in the morning on the September 20th, and I didn't know if I had the rest of the 20th to keep writing some reviews. I wrote 25 reviews on the 19th because I'm like, I just want to make sure. And some of the reviews, by the way, were for things like these hiking boots I got, and I broke them in for like 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So that's a real review, but I had to wait till they were broken in. Otherwise, I would have no sense. They're actually kind of comfortable now. They're a little bit more reviewing, a little bit more break-in, but they're getting there. They're a good 80% of the way, I think, to being actually comfortable. So I wrote a review in that context. So I basically wrapped up 25 reviews. There's still many more to write. But anyway, so this afternoon, at 1:00 in the morning on Saturday, on the 20th, today's still the 20th. So 1:00 this morning, I got my account page said, you have reached the end of your evaluation period. You will get, there will be some sort of a review of everything in my account and so on. They make it sound very like permanent record stuff. And it should take about 96 hours, but do continue ordering and reviewing things, blah, blah, blah. So sometime in the afternoon, not 96 hours, but more like probably 15 hours, my account status is now, you have begun a new evaluation period, which runs from September 19th, not the 20th, to March 18th. So there you go. My review insightfulness score, by the way, excellent, because I do actually spend time on those reviews. But anyway, so I have like probably, what do I have? There's some items I haven't received yet, but probably of the items I've received that are eligible for update, for review, there's got to be 80. Because some of them I don't feel like reviewing, and some of them I spend a lot of time on, and some of them are in the middle there. So I give legit reviews when I do reviews. I don't just say, this product sucks. I give actual answers. I reviewed some green flashlights that I got, green LED flashlights, pen lights. They're pretty good. And so I actually had the similar product, but in blue. Click on, click off. So the green and the blue, I don't know if you know this, but green, the human eye is not sensitive to green, probably evolution because of grass and trees and stuff. So we don't have to be as sensitive to it because there's just so much chlorophyll in the world. So when I was doing displays and, LCD displays and color imagery when I worked at Supermac back in the day, that's when I learned this. I was like, oh, I never really thought about it. And there would be like RGB monitors that they were experimenting with to give more intensity to the green phosphor. Yeah, CRT days. So I wrote a review of these and I said, I compared the green and the blue and they're actually comparable in lux, which is the intensity of the light landing on a flat surface. So I have a neutral. It's not like I wouldn't use it for like color matching or color calibration. It's not a gray, like a neutral gray, whatever the temperature is supposed to be. But it's a neutral flat surface. So I use that to kind of eyeball literally the two colors. So my review was not, oh yeah, these work, because how much are you going to say about a flashlight? But I pointed out that the blue and the green were approximately equivalent. And I couldn't really take a picture of that because cameras nowadays are so computed. Computed photography is a thing. So who knows what it would have done with the color. I have a black light. It's actually an LED black light instead of the classic fluorescent black light. Who didn't have one of those in college, right? Or in high school even. So I got a plug-in, not battery operated. I got an AC black light, which I have yet to even plug in. But why would you want a black light at this point? I'll tell you. First of all, I actually have a blacklight flashlight that I used to have in my travel accessories bag, whatever, for use in hotel rooms around the world. So that's you know what's up with that. But here I have this LED thing. Now, here's a fun fact. I don't know if you know this, but the whitening or brightening that you find in some clothing detergents or some actual whitening additives or toothpaste. Most toothpaste has some of this. Fluorescent markers. What else? There's a few things. So the notion of whitening or making things appear like they're glowing is substances in the toothpaste or detergent or whatever, or laundry additive that when ultraviolet light bounces off of it, it shifts it into visible light. So you actually get more visible light reflecting from whatever it is. So you can shift the ultraviolet into a brighter color. So usually in the blue range, but it'll appear like more light is coming off something and oh, that's a little bit brighter. So yeah, that's cool, right? So one time when I was using a shared laundry resource, a laundry room in an apartment, the first apartment I lived in Silicon Valley, I can't remember I think I found this out before I went out somewhere or wherever I was going. But, oh yeah, because I did have my old fluorescent black light from college. Yeah, I still had it because this is right out of college. I think I used it as kind of a night light or, so it was just kind of on in the corner. So there was always a little bit of light, but not too bright. And by the way, if your pupils are wide open, like it's at night and you look at a black light, oh, that's not pleasant. Don't do that. Like directly at it. But anyway, so I had my clothing and the black light and whatnot. And I was like, what the? So it turns out if you don't have control of your laundry machine, your washer probably, and somebody squirted a bunch of whitener, but it didn't go through the rinse enough, or maybe they added some in the rinse cycle or something. So the shared washing machine might have some whitener in there in the basket, but you can't really see it. So I ended up with a pair of pants that looked like someone went to town with like a highlighter or whatever. And that was no good. So yeah, I really, I was like, oh, I'm glad I had this black light because you could literally, it just looked like somebody had a bottle, like I think Era, like just a squirt bottle of laundry whitener. And they just sprayed it on my pants. So probably just when they were washing. They weren't like dress slacks or something. They were probably just cheap khakis or whatever. I'm like, man, if I had worn these out to anywhere with a black light, when I went into the place with the black light, it would have looked ridiculous, right? So for that reason alone, it's worth having a black light handy that you can just have on. You can flip it on in your closet or wherever you're getting dressed and just give yourself the once over. So yeah, probably useful. I just got ridiculous amounts of spam in Telegram, which is silly. I do use Telegram frequently. I would like to eventually move completely over to something like Matrix. That'll be in another episode. So that's the Amazon Vine. So I'm going to continue reviewing things. I got so much stuff that I would never consider buying, but that I get for free. And then I write a review. And then I'm like, oh, it's pretty neat. Actually, I still wouldn't buy it, but for free, why not? I have a pair of hiking boots. Like I said, they're light duty. So they're kind of like heavy cross trainers, 3/4 height, the little hooks on the laces instead of all eyelets going up. And, yeah, they were sized small. So when I first put them on, I was like, oh my God, these are tight. But after breaking them in and whatnot, that's fine. So then today, my first day in my new evaluation period, two recommended items were same company that made these hiking boots things. Hiking boots, sure. They're not like traditional boots. They look like cross trainers, like I said. Oh, there's similar products, but different, higher. They look like more padding on the ankle, lightweight hiking boots, and then sneaker style hiking boots. So I'm like, oh, so I got both of those. So got them a half size bigger. So I'm going to write more reviews of those things. So, hey, free sneakers. They're like on Amazon, they're like 65 and 60 respectively, something like that. So, hey, why not? I would not have purchased them otherwise, but why not? Free. So yeah, I'll touch on this briefly because it is everywhere. Charlie Kirk is in the news. The memorial, I only found this out today. I wasn't really paying attention. The memorial is to be held on 21st, so that's coming up in about 30 minutes. The 21st, I'm not laughing at the Charlie Kirk thing. I don't think people should not be shot. I know it's an odd attitude to have, but I'm kind of not a fan of being shot or having other people shot. That's what the rule of law is supposed to be about. But anyway, so the memorial is to be held on Sunday, the 21st of September, 2025. And it's going to literally be down the street from where I used to live, in Glendale, Arizona, which I think the stadium, boy, if I was going to look it up, I guess I could tell you exactly. But, so what is it? The State Farm Stadium? Glendale, Arizona. State Farm Stadium, yeah. State Farm, nope. Okay, directions from my old, where I used to live. Yeah, there you go. Okay, driving distance, 9.6 miles. So up a long street. But yeah, so it's 9 miles. So I'm like, I was talking to my parents earlier today, and I think they knew it was going to be somewhere in Arizona, but it's like I think they did know it was at the stadium because my mom said, yeah, I don't want to go outside. I think I'm just going to stay in just to avoid, it's going to be some chaos and whatnot. But yeah, so that's just kind of odd. I don't know why they picked Glendale, Arizona for this, but kind of interesting. My parents are Republicans, so they're probably more into it, I guess, but they're not into it in general. I have been staying away from this whole thing, though. I have not really been keeping track of the Charlie Kirk stuff, except for Candace Owens, whom I think she's insane. I think she's a nut. I think she is very entertaining. She's a very entertaining person. So her theory, her conspiracy theory, is actually it's got some holes in it, but still interesting because she seems to be someone who maybe, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but maybe on the spectrum somewhere, maybe a little obsessive, maybe a little bit compulsive. So she and her staff of people, I guess, they spend a lot of time and energy on this stuff. So it's entertaining to see what's unfolding. And the text message stuff was very odd. If you're keeping track of this stuff, if not, good for you. It's a bad thing. I'm against. I don't know if it's political or ideological or just not. Like, I'm mad at you, I'm going to shoot you. The comparison I made, I think, on this very audio program last time was it's like, was it John David Chapman killed John Lennon? Was that his name? John David Chapman? Mark David Chapman, sorry, yeah. Mark David Chapman killed John Lennon, and I don't think it was his politics. He just didn't like him. I'm totally going off memory here. What was it? People, he killed a musician. Pure selfishness. This is from the Economic Times. Stupid ads. Come on, get the ads out of there. He spent months planning the killing. Second degree murder. That's ridiculous. He killed Lennon not out of any animosity toward the man himself, but purely for his fame. Oh, so he just wanted to be famous. So there you go. It's not ideological. That's just nuts. And then you can look at David Hinckley shooting Reagan. He just wanted to, he wanted to impress Jodie Foster. So maybe some other issues there. But anyway, so it's really interesting to hear, I kind of am imagining what would it have been like? Because I enjoy a good JFK conspiracy. It's a fascinating, because there's just so much there, so many things that just don't seem to make sense. And the government certainly could have been more forthcoming. And there were people trying, I want to protect the family. It was a different cultural time. So I think it's inappropriate to show these images. Some of the Warren Report stuff, some things are just missing. So you're like, wow, it's just weird. So it's interesting to see just how much forensic examination you can do, especially for people that as a hobby. So this going on now is an interesting thing to observe, but of course that shouldn't have happened. It's just sad. There are different ways to do things, and I'm really hoping we don't start seeing, because there are shootings all the time, and there was a school shooting the same day in near Denver. So not a fan. The Candace Owens conspiracy theory is interesting to watch. And I think she is generally more entertaining than Alex Jones, because Alex Jones comes off as unhinged often, whereas Candace Owens comes off as like obsessive and, kind of like, well, obviously you guys. And Alex is more like, we're going to kill everybody. They're in 1776, whatever, all that. So totally nuts. So freedom of speech has been a big thing lately. It always entertains me that everybody runs to, there are certain things that become like, oh, well, that's a violation. That's censorship. And you're like, that's not how that word works. The Jimmy Kimmel thing, obviously, it's like laundering money, right? Like, he's not being censored. His First Amendment rights are not violated because he was an employee, or still is probably, contractually connected to Disney and ABC with his program and all that. They probably have a right to remove him from the air. But the problem is, if the government says, I'm not even going to try to do, what's his name in Texas? He tried to do a mob style Italian accent. It was horrible. What's the guy's name? What is the guy's name? Texas senator, ran for president. Ted Cruz. Thank you. So Ted Cruz is like, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. So that did happen in the open. So that is a different thing, right? So Disney probably is well within their right to say, well, we're going to pay you out, pay your contract, or you can leave. We can fire you for cause. But generally speaking, I don't think, and I'm not an entertainment lawyer, but I'm pretty sure they're not required by law to put you on the air just because they paid a contract to pay for your time. So yeah, it's not really censorship, but it is, obviously, it's a threat to free speech. If the government can go, hey, you better get this guy off the air or else, that's the problem, right? So Kimmel, I don't think he's made much of a statement post. But, he really doesn't have to say anything. Some other people, other late night hosts are jumping in. The fact that our president announced that Kimmel would be next, and then he has now announced his next targets. See, those are problems. Those are threats to free speech. When the government, so the whole thing about the First Amendment is the government cannot abridge those things. So he's openly threatening abridgment. So that's the problem. But yeah, the fact that, Colbert, he's going to be done, I think, when his contract is up or something in May of 2026. Everybody was like, oh, I can't believe they're canceling it. Hey, he's still in the air. So that's not really censorship. So yeah, everybody's very quick to use these terms that they don't really understand. And I'm not an attorney, but I mean, if you read a little bit, you're like, oh, okay, that's not really censorship. But all that said, this is only more reason for people to be a little bit more aware of of how they're communicating with people. They used to have I'm in Facebook jail, or I got canceled on whatever. Well, if you're going to depend on TikTok or WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter, or what else is there? Even Gmail. Google has not been quite so overt, but they will be, because everybody has a deal that requires government approval, and that puts them in the hot seat to make sure that they don't piss anybody off. So their money is at stake, so they'll bend. So that's where you have the CEOs of these companies giving exotic gifts. Didn't he give them a gold iPhone or iPad or something? Tim Apple, Tim Cook. So, but you got Mark Zuckerberg giving him gifts, and there's just a lot of like, if they were smoking cigars, that'd be perfect, right? Everybody's in there, but they're doing it in the open. So my thing, and that's where the posse thing comes in. And I've been talking about this forever, and I'm finally like, why am I not doing this? I just don't want to be beholden. I don't want to be like, oh, you got to find me on LinkedIn, which is an awful piece of garbage platform. So I'm trying to make it secondary or even tertiary. Spotify, I don't want to depend on Spotify. Spotify already took off one of my shows for no reason. Luckily, it was kind of out of date. But I'm like, wait, what? I literally just reset the password, and it was going to kind of get reignited, but then they deleted the whole thing. I'm like, okay. I have all the files and I just re-uploaded them and all that, but I'm like, wow, what the hell is that? So never rely on some other, there's been AWS horror stories, and cloud is just generally a problem. So yeah, really you just have to take responsibility for your online presence, your presence overall. So I'm kind of leaning that way more and more. And you should be able to post what you want, where you want, and whatever. And if people don't want to read it, that's fine, but you shouldn't be able to get fired from your day job because you retweeted something. This is just becoming a crazy, everybody's got a microscope. Everybody's got to create content to either accuse or react or whatever. And it's, I can see why everybody's going nuts. So I'll just wrap it up. I did not attend Startup Week here in Vegas. None of the 3 days of Startup Week. That's what they call Startup Week, 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then there was Saturday Tech Alley, which was just a normal Tech Alley. Like, oh, let's make that part of the week and it'll be more like a whole week. Okay. Like, hey, if I have an event on Sunday or Monday before CES opens, can I just say it's the whole week? Consumer Electronics Show in January. So I thought that was a little bizarre. But so Startup Week, I checked the horrible platform they were using for attendee outreach and communications, and basically yet another platform that wants your email address so they can, like, hey, now that here's a badge to post on social media, hey, do you want to go to any of these other events? And they're just going to keep doing that, so I got to delete my account. But they showed that 366 Las Vegas local or indicated local people signed up for this thing. And I've been saying for two plus years now, the startup community in Clark County of 2.3 million people has got to be around 300. So I call it the 300, like the graphic novel and or movie. And so I was impressed to see 366 people signed up, because when you look through there, there were speakers that were going to be on panels, and there were people that signed up twice because they're a speaker and an attendee. So I don't know why, that they did that. And I was in there, but I certainly didn't go. So that 366 probably is closer to 300 because I want to be right. But it was, I didn't care for it. I did a whole episode of Cafe Genius Impresarios that I published on Friday. So yesterday, as we're coming up on 11:46, 11:46, yeah. So p.m. Pacific time. So this will be published on Sunday, but recorded on Saturday, the 20th. And so I published this and I called it Startup Week, WEAK, versus Startup Week 2.0, WEEK. And so I just went through what I would do for Startup Week, because I just think the whole thing was like, what? Who put this together? I don't get it. I don't see it. I'm not impressed. And if you don't know what movie that's from, we can still be friends. That's fine. On all of these notes, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to do some cover art. I'm going to post it on Ko-fi.com, and then I will post it on Spotify for creators, and it will get spread around to the usual places. And then sometime tomorrow, I will need to I will visit my YouTube channel, studio creator page for the Coffee Solo podcast, and I will see that the recent automated upload from the RSS feed has been marked private for no reason, and then I will mark it as public again. So that's my production schedule for this episode. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for listening as always. Tell a friend. You can visit that profile page, linking everything if you want to find all my other stuff. I'm going to try to cut down on the links, the repeating episode links. If there are links, channel links, I don't want to promote stuff too much. Here's one web link, maybe two, go there. Links to everything, piece of cake. So cut down on the front loading of, here's another read through for the same 4 links as last week. So episode links like this Posse link, obviously that's fine. That's it. That's the end of the show. So there you go. Thanks for listening.